Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be going through the metal loadouts for the final Season 2. So we're just going to hop on over to the contestant screen. And this is my heavy loadout, so we're just going to go through everything one by one. First up, I've got Charge and Sam on. Charge and Sam is very, very powerful. You can just go through walls, which is always very useful. If you're ever on, like, Vegas and you don't really know the map, just burst through the wall. If you're ever trying to defend a cash out, you can be like either above or in a room kind of far away from it, and if someone starts stealing, you can just use the Charge and Sam and knock someone off of the cash out to instantly prevent them from stealing it, and you don't even have to kill them. You just have to like bump into them and they'll be forced to stop stealing it. So that's a very, very powerful tool rather. And also, if someone's using like a mesh shield, then this is going to be just like a fantastic way to counter that. And if there's 3 enemies all huddled up in like a similar area, which does happen a lot, you can bump into all of them and then also jump and get like a nice AoE of splash damage there as well. So this is just very, very good. It does also just give you a small little movement buff. And the alternative for this heavy specialization is the mesh shield. The mesh shield is okay. It's like very okay, but if you don't have a coordinated team and you aren't all using voice chat, I would just stay away from this. If you do have a coordinated team and you are all using voice chat, it's probably going to be a lot better because you can use it and then your teammates are going to be able to like shoot through it and stuff. But if you're solo queuing, which I am, I would just kind of stay away from this. And the goo gun, you know, the goo gun is fine, but the Charge and Sam is just going to be better than the goo gun, and so is the mesh shield. And then Charge and Sam, mesh shield, they kind of are both very, very good. And it just depends on whether or not you're coordinating with your team, and also just preference, really. But Charge and Sam is very, very, very powerful anyway. Now, the weapon. SA-1216, just put this on. As far as I'm concerned, if you're playing ranked and you don't have the SA-1216 on, you're basically just throwing the match. It's just the most powerful weapon in the game by quite a large amount. It 4 shots a heavy, which is crazy. The time to kill on that is insane, and it's not that hard to hit the shots either. And like the alternative is the Lewis gun, but like if you want to play a medium to long range weapon, or like close to medium range weapon, then just use the medium and just use the FCAR. Don't try and hit people with this because the recoil's quite rough, and the SA-1216 is just a lot better. So, I mean, you can, if you really, really want to, use the Lewis gun or the M60, but the SA-1216 is just like by far the best weapon in the game, and it wasn't touched with the launch of Season 2, which is insane because it's like mega powerful. Then we've got the RPG. RPG is just still pretty good. It just still does a bunch of damage for something that you can just whip out really quickly. It did get a little bit more dispersion when you're not ADSing, and a little bit less dispersion when you are ADSing. So it's like more and less accurate when you're aiming and when you're not aiming. But none of the damage was changed or anything like that. Dome Shield is still pretty good. It did get a pretty hefty nerf. I think its cooldown, how long it lasted rather, went from like 20 seconds to 12 seconds, which is a pretty hefty cooldown, but it still is very good. It's just like instant deployable cover, which is very, very powerful. And also if you're stealing a cash out and you chuck this down, that's going to be very, very good, especially if you've got another heavy that's also using another dome shield. That's going to be very tough to get through. So this is definitely still very, very good. And then on the 4th slot, what I used to have here was C4. C4 used to be great, used to be good for breaching walls, used to be good for putting on cash outs, and then if someone went to steal, you would blow it up and probably get a lot of damage. It's also good for just running away, and if someone was chasing you, you'd throw some C4 on like the stairway or wherever the enemy was going to chase you from, and then you blow it up and you probably get a kill like that as well. Now you only have 1 charge and it does much less damage, and also you can't really put them on barrels anymore, so it just absolutely sucks really, so you should just pick something else. Now, the anti-gravity cube is new, and it's okay. There are some things that you can do with it if you coordinate with your team well. You could use it on like moving platforms when there's a cash out station on that, and you can throw it by the cash out, and then the cash out's gonna like drop down off the moving platform. So that's one use for it. You can also probably pair it quite well with the medium's dematerializer. So if you throw this in a room and you want the cash out to come up a floor, and then the medium uses their dematerializer to make a hole in the floor, so it comes up, and then they close it off again, then you're going to be a floor above with the cash out, and maybe the enemies are still left below. But that requires a lot of coordination, and again, I'm solo queuing, so it's just not going to be that fantastic. And again, if you've got the Charge and Sam, you can just break through walls, so there's probably not going to be much of a need to go up and over, you know? So I would just stay off of that. We do have the motion sensor as well. This is okay. You can run this if you want, but it's really not going to be as good as some of the other options here. One of them is the frag grenade. The frag grenade is just a solid pick. It just does a lot of splash damage if you just chuck it. it is going to do decent damage, and it's pretty predictable when it's going to blow up. Not that hard to hit shots with it, just a pretty solid, predictable pick. You can also go with barricades. Barricades are pretty good. They take a lot to destroy, and they're also, like, they place a lot faster than the dome shield. With the dome shield, you have to throw it and then wait for it to land, even if you right-click it. So it does take a while to pop out sometimes, but the barricades, you place it straight away and it just happens. So it is a little bit faster to come out than the dome shield. It's pretty quick, and it also does provide a lot of cover. And also, if the enemies are like mediums and lights, they're not going to be able to shoot over the barricade. Unless they're like jumping, they just can't reach that tall, because the heavy is obviously taller, right? So you're the only one that can peek over the barricade and shoot over the barricade, and mediums and lights can't, so that they kind of can't really use that against you, which is quite a nice thing about it. You can block off doors, you can block off vents, which heavies can't use, so that's a nice little feature as well. And if you need to get through it, then you can just charge and slam it yourself. So barricades are a really, really, really good pick as well. They're like very, very strong. I do like having a little bit more offensive capabilities instead of defensive capabilities, so I like the frag grenades, but barricades are pretty strong as well. So you can go with those. You could also go with goo grenades. Like, they're okay, they're pretty easy to destroy. If someone just shoots it, or if they throw a fire grenade at it, or just blow it up with literally anything, those are just going to disappear. Like, even an explosive barrel is going to get rid of this, so they're not going to be the best pick. Gas grenades are okay still, you can go with those. You only have one of them though, which I personally don't like. Pyro grenade, again, you only have one of them, but they can be useful. Then you've got pyro mines and explosive mines. I just stay away from these personally, because they're like really, really, really easy to just go around, and they're so inconsistent with when they blow up. Like, even if you've got 2 mines on an enemy's totem, sometimes the enemy can just pick up their totem and then run away and then res, but the mine's still on it and they just won't blow up. So I would stay away from the mines, because they're just super inconsistent. You can use gas grenade and pyro grenade if you want. They only have one like use though, and then they're on cooldown, so you have to use them really, really well. I would just stick with the frag grenades. You've got 2 of them, they're pretty predictable, and or the barricades. You just place them down, boom, instant cover, you're probably going to be okay. I think these are probably good to pair with the dome shield as well. Like, if you're going to steal the cash out, if you place 2 barricades and then a dome shield, like, you're going to be very, very, very defendable there in that position. So yeah, I personally would go with barricades or frag grenade, and then you can also use gas grenade or pyro grenade if you want. You could also use goo grenade if you really, really wanted to, but they're very, very easy to destroy, especially if you're playing heavy. But that's going to be the heavy loadout. Basically, the main things would be SA-1216, RPG, and the dome shield are all really, really good. If you're not putting the SA-1216 on and you're playing heavy, and you're playing ranked, like, you know, you're kind of throwing the game there, just put on the SA-1216 if you're playing heavy, and then either Charge and Sam or Mesh Shield for the specialization. So that's what I think is the best loadout. The heavy is just the best class, in my opinion. Well, it's not really a matter of opinion. The heavy is just the best class right now. Medium is like a kind of a close second, but the heavy is just very, very, very powerful. They've got a lot of health, and they also have insane time to kill with this SA-1216 as well. Like, if this was more balanced, then maybe the heavy would be a little bit worse, and the medium would be like a very, very, very close second. But because of the SA-1216, the heavy is just the best class right now. They've just got the most options in a fight, they can do the most damage, and they're the hardest to kill as well, and that's always going to be very beneficial. But I am going to do a medium like meta loadout as well. I'm not going to do a light one because the light just sucks. If you're playing ranked, please don't play light. You're just basically throwing the game. Unless you like are really, 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 really good and you can play light really, really well. Well, even if that's the case, you probably still shouldn't be playing light because you're going to be able to do more as a medium or as a heavy. But anyway, then we come to the medium. So for the medium, you're either going to want the healing beam or the dematerializer. Healing beam is very, very good. You just heal your teammates. That's all it does. But if your teammates are good, then this is going to be more effective. If you're solo queuing, this probably isn't going to be fantastic, though, because you're going to be banking on how good your teammates are. If your teammates are very good, you're probably going to be able to heal them a lot and keep them alive, and that's going to be good. If they're not very good, then this isn't going to do a whole lot, and you probably want to have like a specialization on where you can do stuff as a solo queuing player, you know? I would leave the turret off. Turret just isn't that good. It doesn't really do enough. It doesn't do enough damage, and it doesn't shoot people fast enough when they're in its range. And people can get out of cover really quick. You rarely get killed with this. It's just really not that good at all. So yeah, I would stay away from that. So if you're in a team and you're all coordinating and using voice chat, I would go for the healing beam. And if you're not, I would go with the dematerializer. Dematerializer is very, very, very good. you have a lot of creativity with this thing. If you need to run away, drop down a floor, close the thing back up, drop down another floor, close the thing back up, you're probably not going to die. You can also just like make lots of off angles and just start killing people from places they don't expect, and that's very, very, very powerful. The element of surprise with this thing is the main thing going for it, and that it's very, very powerful. It's a really cool specialization, and you do also have 3 charges with it. You can also obviously close the holes back up as well, and that also does cost a charge, but that's very, very powerful too. It's very, very powerful. Even if you just want to like open up a hole and then like chuck 2 frag grenades in, then close the hole again, and then maybe once the frag grenades have hit, then open another hole and then try and finish the enemies off, that's going to be like crazy powerful. So that's very good if you're solo queuing, and if you're not solo queuing, if you're with a dedicated team, then I would go for the healing beam, and I just stay away from the turret altogether. Please don't use the turret in ranked. It's really just not that good. So, with the weapon, you're probably going to want to put on the FCAR. Its time to kill is insane, so if you can hit all of your shots, this is going to be very, very, very good. AKM is okay. If you're not really that confident in your aim, then you should probably put this on, because it's got a higher mag size than the FCAR, so you can go with this, and I just stay away from everything else, really. Like, the Model 1887 is also very, very good, but it's, like, extremely difficult to hit consistent shots with this, and the reload is also quite bad, so I'd stay away from that. So I'd go with the FCAR or the AKM, but if you can aim with it, and if you can get kills with this thing consistently, if you've got, like, insane, like, aim, then you can use the 1887 as well, but for most players, for like 99% of players, myself included, just you're not going to be able to do a whole lot with this thing. So it's going to be the FCR would definitely be the best, and then the AKM would be like a kind of a close second. Now for the gadgets, you want the defibrillator on. The defibrillator was nerfed with the launch of Season 2, but it's still quite good. Just put it on, it's just going to be like a very fast revive, and it's going to get another teammate back into the fight. If you're playing medium and you don't have the defibrillator on, you are throwing the match. So just put the defibrillator on if you're playing medium in ranked. And then I've got the zipline on. The jump pad, I know a lot of people like the jump pad, but even in Season 1, I liked the zipline over the jump pad, and now with the launch of Season 2, the jump pad was nerfed a little bit. Its cooldown was nerfed, I think, but I just still prefer the zipline anyway. It just takes you directly from point A to point B. It can really, really help out in those like last second cash outs where you don't have a whole lot of time to get to the objective. This is going to be very beneficial. It just gets you from point A to point B really quickly, and its cooldown isn't so bad either. It's just all around very, very solid movement option. It's also a lot more obvious in the jump pad when you place it. Your teammates can see it a lot easier because, you know, there's obviously like a massive yellow line going from point A to point B, whereas the jump pad is just like a small little thing. So it is better to use with your teammates as well. But it's just very, very good. And then on my second slot, this is kind of preference. You've got a couple of options here. You do have the APS turret, which is very, very good. It's got a lot of defensive capabilities. The thing with this is that if a medium has the dematerializer on, they can just pop a hole through the wall and destroy the APS turret pretty easily. That's going to be the easiest way to destroy APS turrets now. But this is still going to be pretty good. It's like very annoying to play against, so you can run that if you want. The problem is you have to like already have the cash out and stuff to be able to make the most out of this. If you're trying to attack a cash out, this is going to be something you can't do a whole lot with. You have to stand in like a very small area and place it down at the beginning of the fight for it to be effective. And, you know, you're probably going to be moving around a lot during a fight. So it's quite good, and you can put it on if you want. But I just personally prefer having more offensive stuff on. Glitch Trap, it's not going to do a whole lot. Flashbang isn't great. Gas Grenade, again, only one use. Goo Grenade can be destroyed pretty easily. Pyro Grenade, only one use. I would stay away from the mines. They're just too inconsistent at this point in time. The gas mine might be okay, but they're pretty inconsistent still. And then you've got the Data Reshaper. Now this turns things into other things. And with barrels, there's a set order that it turns barrels into. I'm not too sure what the order is, but like if there's a goo barrel and you use the Data Reshaper on that, that will always turn into like a certain type of barrel. And then if there's like a pyro barrel, that barrel will always turn into a different type of barrel as well every single time. And if you use it on like a chair, that chair is going to turn into something completely random. So there is like an order to some of the stuff that this turns into, which can be useful, but if you don't know the order, which does take a little bit of time to learn, then putting on something consistent is probably just going to be better, which is why I have the frag grenades on. The Data Reshaper is fine, it's good, it can be useful, but like there are certain situations where if you want cover, just use the goo grenade, or if you want to do damage, just use the frag grenades. You know, they're going to be a lot more consistent than like trying to find a barrel and trying to make that barrel into the right thing and then throwing that barrel at someone, you know? And if the enemy has like mines or a turret, just shoot them. It doesn't take a whole lot to destroy them. And also the data reshaper might be okay if you're using the healing beam, because it maybe gives you some more options to like get an explosive barrel and then blow through the floor. But if you've got the dematerializer on, then you can just go through the floor yourself, you know? So I think this is a pretty good loadout for medium. Again, instead of this frag grenade here, you could put on the APS turret. The APS turret is actually on my reserve. And you could also go for goo, gas, or pyro. Those are all fine as well. You could also go for like zipline and jump pad if you wanted to have like mega amounts of movement. But I do like having a couple of offensive capabilities as well. So what you put here on this second slot is pretty much just preference. And you can put the jump pad on for the zipline if you want. But FCAR, a defibrillator, and some type of movement is very, very good. Second slot is up to you. And the dematerializer and the healing beam are very, very powerful. But the thing with this is that if a heavy is close to a medium, the heavy is going to just destroy you before you have a chance to even hit them with the FCAR. Heavy kills people so quickly. So if you want to run the absolute meta, just play heavy. If like there are 3 heavies on a team that has this loadout, that's going to be very, very tough to beat. What can also be annoying is like a heavy and 2 mediums, or 2 heavies and a medium. That's also going to be a little bit annoying. But I think the heavy is just better. But if you don't like the SA-1216 for whatever reason, then this is probably going to be the best loadout on the medium, and having the defibrillator is pretty useful. The dematerializer is also a cool new weapon, but I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm probably going to stop talking now. But this is definitely like the proper meta. Maybe if I throw in the barricades here, this would be like the proper meta for the heavy, or like again, the 4th slot is kind of up to you, but this is what I like. And then for the medium, this is going to be a pretty good loadout as well, if you don't like heavy for whatever reason. But I think heavy, it would be like S tier, and then this would be like high A tier. But I think the heavy is like a good bit ahead of the medium at this point in time. And again, just don't play light. If you're playing ranked and you're trying to actually rank up, don't play light. You're not going to have a good time. The light just absolutely sucks, and it wasn't changed at all with the launch of Season 2, so it still just kind of sucks. But yeah, there you go. This is going to be the meta loadout for the final Season 2. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.